By the end of this video, you'll have not only learned 6 beginner combinations, but you'll have learned what's most important. And that's what makes up a good combination. So that means that you'll be able to take any combination and make it effective and efficient and usable in the ring. So first of all, what is a combination? A combination is a series of punches put together. And why would you want to use a combination over single punches? Well, using punches 2, 3, and 4 in a combination increases the chance of you landing your shot every single punch that you throw. So what actually makes a good combination? Well, the first most important principle is making sure that each punch in that combination flows seamlessly into the next one. For example, if I'm throwing a 1-2 left hook, each of these punches are coming off the rotation of my body, and all my body is doing is going from here to here to here and then back again. It's just repeating this process. And this process, or repeating this process, allows you to throw literally any punch with good rotation and good leverage. Okay, so knowing that all the punches in a combination just flow off the rotation of your hips and your upper body and then back again from left to right means that you can just endlessly flow each punch into the next one, okay? Just using this rotation of your body without even having to like spring forward or lean forward. You can just stay on that axis and rotate. The next thing that makes up a good combination is varying the punches thrown in that combination. For example, instead of me just throwing straight shots all the time, I might come up with an uppercut or around the side with hooks, and blending these together along with shots to the body as well means that my combinations will be more effective because my opponent doesn't just have to defend against one pathway, i.e. the center line or the flanks or the body. Okay, they have to constantly switch and manipulate their guard to be able to defend my punches because they're coming from all different angles. Okay, so varying up which punches you use makes your combinations way more effective. The next principle that makes up a good combination is varying your tempo, speed, and power. Okay, so tempo is basically the rhythmic timing of when punches are executed. So kind of like how music is put together, it should generally follow some sort of rhythm. And if that rhythm is just the same all the time, so let's say it's just like this, boom, 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 then my opponent can time it better and defend against it. So you want to change up that tempo. So sometimes it'd be boom, 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 boom. See how I could throw a 1-1-2, 1-1-2, or I could throw a 1-1-2, or I could throw 1-1-2. Right, so I'm varying up the tempo. I'm not sticking to one single beat. I'm disrupting the rhythm. We can also change the speed and the power of the punches throughout the combination. So for example, I might touch lightly with a jab before I bring a big overhand right and put some power behind it. I'm using certain punches in the combination to set up the bigger, more powerful shots, okay, or distract whilst I'm waiting to set up those shots. The last thing that makes up a good combination is staying inside your stance and diminishing as much movement as possible. So any excessive movement where you're coming outside of your stance or you're moving your head, causing you to come off balance, is going to disrupt your flow of your combination. If you watch like any of the best boxers, whilst they're throwing a more longer combination, let's say they got them on the ropes, the head doesn't really move that much. Okay, it might move on like 1 or 2 of the punches, but generally they got their eyes fixed on the target and they're throwing the shots, right? And they're kind of staying here because that means that they're nice and on balance. They're not falling outside of their stance. And when you do fall outside your stance, let's say I'm throwing a 1-2 and I come over here, I've then got to get back into my stance before I can throw my next shot. And if that shot takes me outside my stance again, I've got to come all the way back here to throw my next shot. So staying on the balance point is what I kind of call it. And that's about here on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being your front foot, 10 being your back foot. The middle point of your torso wants to be at like 6. You stay here and just rotate around this axis whilst you're throwing your combo. Right, you're going to stay on balance and you're diminishing that excessive movement. You're not falling off balance. You're you're conserving energy and you're being efficient. You're not doing anything more than what you have to do to be effective. You can, of course, drop your head off the center line whilst you're throwing these combinations, but generally you do that at the end. So like the last punch, you might throw a jab, and then across. I could drop it off, or 1, 2, boom, boom, and then the last punch, I might drop my head off the center line or put a little bit more weight into it. But as a general, I'm going to say rule of thumb, but yeah, general rule of thumb, you want to stay on that balance point and don't come outside your stance too much, otherwise it'll throw your balance off. Okay, so it's all well and good me just telling you these things, but what can you implement now so that you can progress in your combination punching? Well, the first thing is getting that flow of boxing nailed. So getting the rotation of your hips and your upper body from left to right, like this, flowing together with punches. So there's several ways you can do this and drill this. The first one, get into your stance and just practice straight shots. Okay, so I'm rotating my upper body to here with the jab, to the point where I'm pretty much dead side on, and then I'm coming all the way through with a cross, and then coming back with the jab and through with the cross, all right? And it's just practicing that constant rotation of the body. See how it's just a constant rhythm. I'm not stopping or pausing in between. I'm not throwing a jab and then pausing and then going, oh, no, I'll throw a cross. We want to train that constant left to right, left to right. And we do that, we're just practicing our straight shots like this. Just getting used to that constant flow. And of course you can do that with hooks as well. All right, just rotating my body. That's all it takes. And uppercuts. Hooks to the body. Just getting used to getting them flowing together. And then once you've got all of those nailed, you can put all the hooks to the body. You can put the hooks to the head together. You can put the uppercuts. You can put the straight shots together. Then you can start to mix them all. So I can throw a couple, go straight shots into uppercuts, to hooks to the body. And then slowly I've got used to this left to right rotation, and I can throw all different kinds of punches in whatever order, with whatever tempo, with whatever speed, with whatever power together. Okay, I can start putting them together. So getting that rotation right first. That constant flow means I can start putting these combinations together, okay? You'll notice when learning boxing, there's all these underlying principles about individual topics. Like we're just talking about this flow of boxing, left to right, left to right. We haven't even talked about the combinations yet. These are the things I teach in Hybrid Warrior Elite. I've actually got a course that I'm making right now, which is all about these first principles to give you a full understanding, a strong mental scaffolding of boxing. So if you're interested, the link's in the description. Go to hybridwarriorelite.com. I'll see you in there. Okay, let's get started on the combinations. The first one is arguably the best combination in boxing, and that's the double jab cross, or the 1-1-2. Now, the jabs in this combination are purely used to find the range and gauge where the target is for the cross. Okay, so they've got to be fast, and the main point with them, they've got to be full length, and you've got to turn your torso from here all the way to side on, right? Because this distance of reach that I get with my jab is the same when I get to this side on position as my cross would be when I drive it through, bring my shoulder all the way to my chin and push my lead shoulder back here, okay? So the jabs need to be full length. And when they are full length, that means that we're correctly gauging the distance for the cross. Now, the reason this combination is better than the 1-2 is because the double jab is used to close the range. If we just use a single jab, then we can't really step in with it. And if we did step in with a single jab, we're leaving our back foot behind. So when we throw the 1-1-2, we want to practice stepping in with it. So we'll step with the first jab, bring our back foot in with the second jab, and then from here, we can throw the cross. All right, so we've measured the range with the first two jabs, got ourselves into range, got our back foot planted, and then we let the cross go. So it's like this. All right, bringing the shoulder all the way up to your chin, like this, just looking down at the target, and then lining up the cross. Okay, this one is the 192, and it's pretty similar to the first one, except now we're adding that variation of where we're throwing our shots from just the head to head and body. Okay, so this is another really good combination, and that's touching the jab to the head, touching the jab to the body, and then throwing the cross to the head. And the reason why this is so much better is because, yeah, we can still step in with our jab to the head and jab to the body, but mainly because this distracts them and brings their hands down, ready to drive through the power shot at the last, for the last punch. Okay, so these first two shots, you only want to touch and distract. You're not trying to really dig your shots in as much, but still get that rotation, boom, boom. And then from here, you just drive up, push off the back foot, and then that kinetic chain. Okay, so touch, touch, and drive up with a cross. All right, don't like spring up like this, but come from down to this position here. All right, I'm not extending my back leg. I'm not falling forwards, but keep my weight in the right place. And just coming through here. My back leg's still bent. And then just finishing on the head. Okay, combination number 3 is super important that you get that flow of boxing down before you practice this combination, because it's quite hard to throw the 1-2-5, which is this combination, boom, 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 without getting that proper rotation of your body and getting used to linking each punch together. Okay, so the lead uppercut is exactly the same as you'd throw like a lead hook, right? It's just that you're just dropping your arms here and you're just bringing it upwards as opposed to around like that. Okay, so touch, touch, and then bring it up. Okay. Going completely side on with the jab, looking down my arm, driving the cross through, and then as I'm bringing the cross back, it's like I'm pulling my lead arm up, all right, and I'm just opening up my hips as I do that. Remember, the lead uppercut is going vertically upwards, all right, and we've got a relaxed arm as we're throwing that. So naturally, you might get a little bit of a shoulder pop here if you're just whipping that up there, okay? Okay, combination number 4 is starting to add a couple more of the other principles in. So mixing up head with body, but also mixing up center line with flanks, okay? And that is the jab, rear uppercut, lead hook to the body. Okay, this is super effective for landing that liver shot. Again, with this combo, we're just trying to land one shot in particular. So we can vary the tempo of the first two. The jab and the uppercut, right, they're just as a distraction to be able to land the liver shot. Okay, so the first 2 shots, we can just flick, flick, touch with the uppercut. Right, we don't really need to worry about like digging the shot in as much. We can just get them to lift their gloves up into the center like this to leave their liver open, which if we've rotated properly on the uppercut, puts our body in the perfect position to be able to bring our rear hand back to our temple, and then as we rotate our hips back through, whirl our shoulders round, drop the arm, and then throw our liver shot. Okay, so it's touch, touch, really dig the liver shot in. Okay, the liver shot is super important that we can take a little bit of weight onto the front foot so we can really dig that shot in. Now, if you do come off the center line with the lead hook to the body, which I have here, I see how I've changed the angle from my torso being vertical to it being here. I want to stay on this angle for the duration of that punch. All right, so I'm rotating around this axis as opposed to throwing it and coming up. So once we get here, we're staying there. We're just whirling the shoulders round, bringing it back, and coming back to here. All right, as opposed to, all right, we don't want to do that. We want to stay on that axis, and then come back. Boom, boom, boom. That's the 1-6-7. Combination number 5 is the first one where we're not going to start with a jab. Okay, so this is one you'd usually use on the inside or like in between exchanges, and it's a great one to drill on the pads so it comes naturally to you, because all of these punches flow together. The 6, the 3, the 2. All right. With this one, we're trying to stay tight. As I said, we're probably more on the inside here because we're throwing our hooks, uppercuts and hooks. So we're starting neutral hip position. So we rotate through, dropping the arm slightly, bringing the uppercut up. And as we bring the rear hand back to the temple, we're bringing this one back round. So I open up my hips again. And then from here, it's setting up my rear cross. Okay. So 6, 3, 2. You'll notice whilst I'm throwing this combination, because the hooks and the uppercuts are generally for the inside, we're staying pretty tight and I'm not really moving my hands away from my face that much. They're kind of just following the movement of my body as opposed to dropping them down here to get a little bit more leverage. We can just use little dips in the knees and the rotation of our hips and upper body to get these punches off to line up that cross. Okay, so this is the 6-3-2. Combination number 6 then is where we really need to dial in that flow of boxing. So think about where the axis is, and for this combination it's 2, 5, 2. Okay, so once you get that down, once you get that axis point, you're staying here, your head's not coming off the center line, you're not coming forward, you're keeping your weight distribution, and you could throw this full combination, right, with flow. Okay, so it's flowing, just like we talked about earlier. Then you can add like different nuances to it. So you could bring your weight forward as you throw this. Bringing your weight forward gives you a great advantage gives you a little bit more leverage on that lead uppercut. All right, so we're there, boom, boom, and drive through with that one. When you're throwing each of these shots, I want you to imagine that your hands are connected together with a rope. All right, so as I landed my cross, as I'm bringing it back, and imagine that I'm pulling my lead uppercut up. All right, so as I'm coming back this way, I'm pulling my lead uppercut up like that. And once my lead uppercut's landed, I'm pulling my cross forward again. All right, so it's just that rotation of the upper body, which makes this combination super effective. So that's a 2-5-2, used like mid to long range. Obviously, it can be close range as well. Just a little bit tighter with the crosses, and let the uppercut come more off the body. All right, I hope this video was helpful. See you in the next one.